This is Patriots linebacker, Super Bowl 49 champ, Darius Fleming, and you're watching VonAllen Sports. Real and honest NFL analysis. Subscribe now. Join the empire. VonAllen Sports, let's go!
VonAllen Sports. VonAllen Sports.
This is the man with the most badass name in sports, the Pharaoh, the Egyptian god himself, Amon-Ra St. Brown. And on behalf of my man VonAllen, we want to thank you for your support. Let's fucking go.
VonAllen Sports.
What's up, guys? How y'all doing? So we have a kind of a strange game going on right now, and so I thought, you know what? I'm just going to go ahead and go live. I wasn't going to, but the thing is that I've ever since like mid last week, I've not been feeling well, and then I'm still kind of, messed up a bit, but. A while ago at halftime, I don't know. I was feeling better, and I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna go live for till, maybe the rest of this game or whatever, since everyone's watching anyway, and talk about some stuff. So, because we had a good game today, with the Patriots and Bucs, and there's a pretty good game going right now. But for some reason, I guess they won't let me watch it while I'm streaming, which is weird. Crap. That means I'm going to have to turn it on a different screen, which means I won't be able to do the scoreboard thing. So why do I pay money to a cable company like Spectrum, for example, if I can't even, stream on my own computer? So it won't let me stream the game. It made it go dark. I can hear it, but it made it go dark. That's real nice, huh? So I've got this other computer here that I can watch it on. So I might as well turn this one off. I'm going to screw everything up. I have to rewire everything now. Great. There we go. Now I'm in business. Let's see this. All right, we can bring this screen over. I don't think it's possible. Even if I could show it to you, it wouldn't matter. So, yeah, we'll just leave it alone. But I got it. Let's go, baby. Let's go. So, it's sorry, it's annoying. I'm going to have to keep looking over to the other side. But, Aaron Rodgers and the Steelers, they should be better than they are. I mean, I was expecting something a lot more wow, But what I didn't expect is their defense and their secondary being so bad. But I don't know. I guess I was just expecting a little more pop, especially with Aaron Rodgers coming over. But, when Tom moved over to Tampa Bay, it took some time to get going. It was like a little sloppy, so. But Justin Herbert, man, he's He's a good quarterback. He's a good player. Let's see. If I put it on my phone, then I can look down and see it easier. Yeah, that'll work. Let's go, baby. See, where there's a will, there's a way. And yeah, so I wasn't going to go live at all this weekend. And I was just like, you know what? For some reason, I don't know how it works, but all of a sudden I just started feeling good, started feeling better. And I was like, yeah, let's go, man. So, and this guy keeps hitting like long field goals and stuff. So, all right. So who's here tonight? We got 63 people watching, only 6 likes. Come on, guys. What's up? So, yeah. So, it's going to advertisement, but the Patriots, okay. I think we got a quarterback, guys. I really do. I think that he is it. I think he's the thing because he's making these throws, but he's throwing to people that you really don't expect to have a lot, you know? And guys, I couldn't even, you know, one of them, I didn't even know who he was, honestly. So, what's up, Crossbearer on Rumble? How you guys doing? I have the chat open on Twitch and Rumble as well, just if you guys want to say hi. You can only send a super chat, though, if you want your name on the screen and all that. You can only send that on Rumble. The Rumble link is in the top. It's pinned to the top of the YouTube chat there. But the only thing that bothered me about Drake Maye today, really, because not like a few, you know, missed opportunities or missed throws or something like that. That's normal, you know. But the thing that bothered me was the end zone interception. You know, that was his. You can tell I'm in my second year moment, right? That was just total boneheaded. You know, you had a guaranteed field goal, right? Now I'm not going to eat his lunch too bad for 2 reasons. One reason is we won, so what does it matter, right? The second reason I'm not going to eat his lunch too bad for it is because I've seen Brady do stuff like that. I've seen Tom do that in like year 10, okay? Sometimes quarterbacks just have like a, you know, but it did immediately make everybody think, oh, there's a second-year player. That's what they do. That's what they do. And it's true. They do that more often when they're first, second year, stuff like that. But it doesn't happen all the time. You know, and like I said, we, you know, that was a good victory. And man, what is this? Are the Patriots good? Are the Patriots good now? That's what I'm asking, you know? So is it for real? Because everybody on X and YouTube and, you know, different places I see think that it's not legit. And they're calling it fraudulent, right? I've been trying to tell people, stop it. Stop it, as John Malkovich would say. It's a visceral betrayal. Stop it, okay? The NFL is the weirdest league in sports, okay? Anybody can beat anybody at any time, any week. And if you don't think so, take a look how the Patriots beat the Bills. The Bills beat the Chiefs. A week later, the Bills lose to the Dolphins. Okay? They lose to the Dolphins. The Dolphins that is led by a guy who is actually actively trying to get fired so he can go on vacation until 2028, getting paid to do nothing. A guy who looks like, you know, he's on his way to becoming a serial killer. That team beat the Bills today. It didn't just win. They beat their ass all over the field, everywhere. So don't give me the crap. Oh, Denver's 8-2, but they're garbage. Okay, whatever. Yeah, we can look at strength of schedule. We can look at like teams they've played and stuff. All you can do is beat the guys in front of you. That's it. That's all you can do. You can't do anything about the schedule. You can't do anything about how the opposition played before you. You can't do anything about how they played after you. And what if they actually play better after you? You know what I'm saying? So maybe you caught them on the while they were coming up, and you caught them when they were down. You know, I'm just saying that you have a good record. That's all you can ask of a team. So Denver, are they sloppy? Yeah, they're sloppy. Do they have problems? Yeah, there's a lot of issues, especially with their quarterback. He's not very, very good quarterback playing right now. But all it takes is to get the good record, get to the playoffs, and then turn it on. Okay? When the New York Giants in 2007, when they just, do you remember? I don't know, a lot of you guys remember this, but in 2007, that Giants season, that year was a shit show. Okay? There was all kinds of problems. They were given the media was given Strahan crap. And he was talking about, is he going to retire, or is he going to demand a trade or something? Everything was just chaotic. The team hated Tom Coughlin. They were talking bad about him and all that. The year before that season, Tiki Barber had retired just out of nowhere. I mean, that was a dysfunctional team. And it was a dysfunctional, sloppy team up until week 17 when they played against the Patriots. They blundered their way into the playoffs and then turned it on. Where'd that come from? I don't know. It just happened. 2012, did anybody see that coming? You know, Ray Lewis's last year, and all of a sudden, they just dominated the playoffs the way they did. Joe Flacco, where the hell did that come from? Don't underestimate people. Don't think, oh, this is an easy win, or this is this, you know. The Patriots are legit right now. And there's a lot of teams that have a lot of wins. Some aren't, some are. You just don't know. But I personally believe that the Patriots are legit. The coaching dude is so freaking solid. You can see that run to the I'm so sorry, I can't remember who it was. He was a rookie. His name escapes me, but ran for the touchdown at the end. And then he looked to the coach to see if he should go in or not. Henderson, thank you. And he looked to the coach to see if he should go in or not. It was in his head. So imagine, I mean, you were programmed your whole life. If you're, running back, hit that hole and you're gone. You're programmed to just score. That's just how it works, right? But you've been coached up to. He was like looking. Now whether he should have gone in or not, I don't really care. I think it was the right decision to go ahead and score. But regardless, it's whatever. But either way was fine. You know what? Maybe it was probably safer to go down, but that way you don't have to put your defense back on the field and you might get an injury or something. But either way, he was aware of what was going on and in that moment, and that gives me a lot of confidence that this team is well coached. Okay, and it does remind me of the old days. Okay, I say the old days. It wasn't that long ago, but the old days where I knew every guy on the team was coached up well. And I don't have this dread or this feeling of something stupid about to happen. Okay? I'm very comfortable with the guys' decision making and the players. They know what they're doing. They know what their job is. And other guys can just come in and do the job of the guys that are missing that day. The Titans, man, I don't know what they were thinking, but they screwed up. Yeah, Phil Williamson. Yeah, exactly. I'm not really sure what Henderson saw because they never showed us a shot of that replay or from that angle. to see Vrabel. I don't know if they mentioned something after that or not, but yeah, now that I've thought about it, I think probably down it was probably the safer decision, because then you have to get your defense back out on the field, and then something bad could happen. And something actually could have happened, because Diggs had to catch the onside kick and he got lit up pretty good. So that was probably not a good idea. But I know I brought up the 2007 Giants. I know. It's scary. I know. It's scary to think about. It's depressing. Yeah, so Crossbear on Rumble says going down instead of scoring would have made sense if Tampa had one or no timeouts. So, I mean, you could argue either way. It doesn't, yeah, exactly. So, got the win, doesn't matter. It doesn't matter now, but my point is that the fact that the runner was in mid-run being chased by a bunch of dudes, and he still was on his mind, oh shit, the coach probably wants me to do something here. And that's always good. So the Steelers, man, they should just be better than this. I don't get it. But yeah, he had exactly, Phil. He had all that speed, and he was able to sit there and do that. But guys, we got 73 watching and only 13 likes. I really hate having to ask for that. I know it's very annoying. It's very cheesy and cliche, but it really does help. It really does make a difference. So if you could click that like button for me, that would be awesome. So I don't know about you guys, but I'm very, very pleased with this team, this Patriots team. It's nothing like I expected it. When you get a new coach, and of course, this hasn't happened to the Patriots except one time, which was Gerard Mayo, and I already knew that was going to be a disaster. I wrote that off as a complete loss the very day it happened. I'm documented saying this. The very day it happened, that it's lost. Might as well forget it. I just said hopefully he'll be fired within a year, which is exactly what happened. It's obvious what the Patriots were trying to do. And then they brought in Vrabel. But even as good as Vrabel is and how much I respected him, not just as a coach in the Titans, but as a player for the Patriots, to be this good, this fast, is a lot to ask for anybody, even great coaches, okay? I mean, like when Bill Parcells would move to a team, or Joe Gibbs or somebody like that. I mean, all these guys, even them, you expect some kind of like growing pain, some kind of, struggle in the first year, maybe even in the second year. But damn, this is awesome, and it couldn't have worked out more perfect, because Drake Maye was a rookie last year, which means that all that crap is out of the way, and now he's got that confidence and experience. He knows what the NFL is like. It's not like he's a rookie this year and he's getting his welcome to the NFL moment under the discipline and the hardcore coaching of Mike Vrabel. Now he's kind of he already knows the drill, he already knows what's up and how the NFL is, and now he's ready for it. I think we got really lucky on that. And Diggs was a great signing so far, as long as he, keeps being the way he is now, and not the way he was before. So looks like so far he made a good bet. People were giving him crap, saying, you don't leave Buffalo, you potential Super Bowl winner. Well, maybe he made the right decision. I'm hoping he did. I'm really hoping he did. But yeah, Elvin Courage says even Belichick didn't do well in first season as head coach with the Browns or the Pats. Now, and with the Pats, he went 5-11, and that was with Drew Bledsoe at quarterback. It's not easy, man. What was my reaction to a Gatorade bath in week 1? A Gatorade bath in week 1 is retarded. Yeah, Erie Gustin says, I think Tomlin deserves a lot of blame for the Steelers' lack of success right now, but the media will never bring it up for some reason. Well, you know the reason, but the problem is with Tomlin, and like the reason why you can kind of lay it at his feet is because this dude has had a lot of amazing rosters. He's had a lot of great players. I mean, maybe it's unfair. I don't know, to compare him to certain other head coaches, but like great head coaches, like I'm about to do. But a lot of people would say he's a Hall of Fame coach and all this and one of the greats and all this stuff. Well, okay, so if you think that of him, then we've got to compare him. If you gave Andy Reid, Aaron Rodgers, and Metcalf and these guys that they have, and you gave them that defense and you had TJ Watt and all that, what do you think Andy Reid would be doing right now with the Steelers? How good do you think they are? How good do you think they would be? And you have to ask yourself, like, what if Andy Reid had that Pittsburgh Steelers team, back when it was Big Ben and it was Antonio Brown before he got hit by Vontaze Burfict, and dude, the Chargers are just taking off with this. Steelers don't want to win. They don't want it. April, if you're watching this, I'm so sorry, but this is garbage. This is bad. This is bad football. Anyway, so back when Tomlin had all those dudes, and he couldn't win then either. Now, granted, I can forgive him for 2016. He ran into Tom Brady at the height of his powers. Okay, this was Tom Brady going for revenge here. Nothing was going to stop him. Not even a 28-3 lead in the end of the third quarter in the Super Bowl. So I can forgive him for that. But what about all the other years? So I think you're onto something here, Gustin. How do you pronounce your first name? Erie? Interesting name. But yeah, I don't know. It's something to bring up. Has he done well for them? Yes. Has he been a consistent, solid coach? Yes. Are the Steelers too stubborn and saying that we've got to stick with a coach long term, and that's what we do with? Tomlin's only the third coach in Steelers history, which is crazy. But even the Cowboys had to turn away from Tom Landry at some point. All right, and maybe it's time. Maybe it is. Well, we'll see what happens at the end of this season. They may get it together, and I'm not writing them off. I'm not saying that they're done, but this is garbage. This is garbage football right here. I mean, the Chargers are pretty good. I mean, they have a good coach. They have a good roster. But it's not even that I'm attacking them for. I'm attacking the method and how they're losing, like the way they're playing. It's really pathetic. Remember, Tomlin's thing is the defense. That they're supposed to be good. The Steelers are defense, and they can't stop anything. So. Eva Courage says, like Tree always says, I think he's referring to urinating Tree, because that guy's a big Steelers fan. He says, the Steelers are a paper tiger, always getting bailed out by high-end talent. Yeah, so they look pretty good. They look pretty good every year with great players. So they can draft well. They can find talent. That no question there. But it covers up. It gives the illusion that they're good and that they're always on the cusp of being something. Like so they can have like a, before the new schedule, I'm talking back then, with all those guys. They can have like a 10-6 season, and it'll be forgiven because they're going to be, well, we just had a few hiccups this year. Next year it'll be Super Bowl because we're finally getting it together and everything. So those players give this false sense of we're actually really good, and maybe it gives Tomlin a false sense of thinking that he is greater than he is. So I don't know. It's a good point though. It's Irie. Very, very interesting. Very interesting. Phil Williamson says you can argue that he only won with Cowher's team. Well, I know where you're coming from on that. I know what you mean. I've always been a little uncomfortable with that though. I know people say that a lot when a coach comes in and he wins with a team that was kind of put together by a previous guy. I tend to not like to do that though. I really don't want to take away Tomlin's Super Bowl in 2008 and give it to Cowher or say that it was Cowher's. You still got to coach those guys. You still got to, get the victory. They do that to John Gruden. They say that John Gruden won with, man, I have brain fog. I told you I've been sick since like mid last week, but I have brain fog and I can't remember people's names. Tony Dungy. So they try to say that he won with Tony Dungy's Bucs team, and I just think that's really, really weird. And because first of all, Tony Dungy could never even get to the Super Bowl with that team. And then, if it wasn't for John Gruden being the coach of the Bucs, they wouldn't have beaten the Raiders because he knew everything about their team, about the Raiders. He knew the whole offense. It was the same offense. So you can't say that. Or when Barry Switzer wins the Super Bowl with the Cowboys, and they say, "Oh, it's Jimmy Johnson's team or Super Bowl." Well, I'm sorry, but Jimmy left. And you can blame whoever, blame Jerry Jones, blame Jimmy. I don't really care. All I know is that he left, and that's it. It just, you still got to win it. You still got to do the work. So I would give him that Super Bowl. And I think he proved himself early on by getting back to a Super Bowl. They got right back to one. And granted, they never could get to a Super Bowl unless the Patriots or generally Peyton Manning was not around to do anything about it. So that's generally how it always happened. That was the sequence, right? So if the Patriots are in the way, the Steelers couldn't get through. I can't remember if they ever actually ran into Peyton or not. Maybe they did. Maybe they did in like a divisional or wild card or something, but clearly not that relevant because I can't remember it. But the Patriots were really the one that was always in their way. They couldn't get to the Super Bowl in 01 or 04. That was at the expense. The Patriots did that to them. 05, they finally got through. Why? Because Denver took out the Patriots. So Pittsburgh never had to meet them. Then Tomlin takes over later on. And then 2008. 2008 comes along. Jesus. Rodgers threw a very bad pick, dude. What is it? Whatever. It doesn't matter. This game's over. Game finished. Turning off now. Okay. So Oh yeah, so they met in '03. Oh yeah. I remember that. Yeah, that was divisional. No, wait. That wasn't the divisional. That was a wild card game, wasn't it? Anyway, doesn't matter. Inconsequential. But but the Patriots are their nemesis. And '08 comes along. That's the year that Tom Brady's out. That's the year Tom Brady hurt his leg, so he's not a factor, and so they get right through. Right? 2010 or sorry, 2009. The Colts are there. The Colts make it all the way through. The 2010, that was that weird year where the Jets took care of everything. So the Jets took out Peyton, and then the next week they took out Brady. And then they ended up playing the Steelers in the AFC Championship game, and the Steelers end up. Uh, no, that was '04. I think I'm confusing years here. Or oh no, that wasn't '04. That was wait a minute. No, that was 2010. That was 2010. Yeah, that was 2010. So um, so no Patriots, no nothing there. So they did make it to the Super Bowl. They got beat by the Packers. And then we know what happened after that. So um, they didn't get too far after that for a while. And then they ran into us again when they were pretty good in 2016, but in the AFC Championship game. But anyway, my point is that at least Tomlin got them back. He got them back in 2010. You know, they lost a pretty good Super Bowl. You know, been through those terrible interceptions, but still, they got them back. They got back to the Super Bowl. So it wasn't a fluke. You can't just call his '08 Super Bowl a fluke, I don't think. But anyway, whatever. Oh, it was a regular season game. Okay, because I was going to say because I thought you meant playoffs. Because I don't remember them meeting. It wouldn't have been a divisional. I know that for sure. So, but it was you're talking about regular season. So. You're right, Phil. 15 years without a Super Bowl appearance and 8 years without a playoff win gives credence to that theory, though. Yeah, I'm only saying that this what I just said, all that what I just said was basically in relation to giving him credit for the '08 Super Bowl. So at least he got him back to 2010. It kind of showed that it wasn't a fluke. But nothing has happened since then. Yeah, nothing that great. Nothing that not any other random team has achieved. You know, even the Bengals got to a Super Bowl in a weird year. So maybe it's just time. You know, maybe it's just time for both of them to change it up. But the thing is, you got to have a replacement. You can't get rid of Tomlin and then just bring in somebody like that you might end up with like a retard like McDaniel, or someone like that. You don't want that either. So it's got to be somebody that if you're the Steelers, you got to make sure you're getting the right dude. So. This is pathetic. Holy crap. You know what the Steelers look like to me right now? They look like a team that's from like the West Coast, right? That went to Boston while it's snowing and doesn't know how to play. The problem here is that they're playing here just down the street. They're playing in Inglewood, and they're down there in a gorgeous stadium. Perfect weather, no weather conditions at all, no nothing. And they're playing like this. Can't catch, can't throw, can't defend. It can't even receive. Yeah, Phil, exactly. They're not even bad. They're not terrible. Like that's what I'm saying. They're not that. They're not. This isn't the Jets. You know, they're better than this. This is. Yeah, they're. What are they? 5-3. Let's see. Yeah, 5-3. It's weird. It's weird. So. Oh, we have a super chat on Rumble here. Let me grab that real quick. We have a $1 super chat from the Gourd King. Thank you, Gourd King. I appreciate it, buddy. He says, the future is bright and the league shall cry, Mayday! Mayday! Hell yeah. That's right. I hope. I mean, I'm feeling good about it. I know you guys have probably noticed that I've been kind of like very cautious about going all in about, kind of, but today's game, that's a good Bucs team. That was in Tampa Bay. Now, Tampa Bay is not like some kind of crazy place to go play in like Kansas City or Green Bay or something, but still, it's on the road against a good team, and they took care of business. Again, other than that pick in the end zone, you should have just thrown it away, and worst case scenario, you'll get a field goal. But they got the win. But they got it done, man. And it was going to go. This one could go either way, and they got the job done. So today, now I'm confident. Now I feel good. So that's all out of the way. All my now I'm in. I don't mean I'm in like I wasn't in before, but I mean I am willing to sit there and say, okay, this is the Patriots now. This is back to work. Okay. And the thing I love the most about this Patriots team is it has nothing to do with Tom. Nothing. There is no connection to Brady. There is no connection to Belichick, other than there's some players on the roster that he drafted, but really doesn't. What does that even mean? Because he's terrible at it. But at least on offense, he's terrible at it. But what I mean by that has nothing to do with Brady is that this team can win on its own. It doesn't have that stigma attached to it, or that trying to keep up with what was. And whether they win, if they win, doesn't have anything to do with Brady's legacy. It's not like, nobody can say anything about it. Because let's say that this was Drake Maye doing all this. Let's say this was happening right now under Belichick. And then Drake Maye goes on, wins the Super Bowl. Then people talk shit and everything. But no, there's no connection. The only connection to Tom Brady about this team is the logo on the helmet. So it's a different team entirely. It might as well be, it could be any team, there's no connection at all. And that's a good thing. That's a great thing. And that's what I love about it so much, is that I don't have to deal with haters, and I don't have to deal with idiots saying, oh, well, look, Drake Maye did it. It must have been, so Tom Brady, no big deal. No connection. And Drake doesn't even play like Tom. To be quite honest, it's funny. Drake plays like Aaron Rodgers. If you watch Drake, you see Aaron Rodgers. I don't know how you can't see Aaron Rodgers in him, but There's just this is just it's just different. It's a different team. And the way they ran the ball today on the Tampa Bay Bucs, the team you couldn't run on, Todd Bowles sitting there with that stupid look on his face. I know, I say it all the time. He's one of the worst coaches I've ever seen. One of the worst head coaches in the history of NFL. Maybe the worst, and I say the worst because of the 2022 season. I hold that against him more than anything. I documented that whole season very well through shorts on YouTube, through posts on X. I documented every game. The stuff Todd Bowles was doing during that season was atrocious. When you are the first guy, the first head coach to deliver Tom Brady a losing season with that roster and that kind of team, and you cannot keep guys, doing their job, and then you say the things you do, and then you take the ball out of Tom's hands anytime there's some pressure at the end of a game. Sorry, dude. You suck. But you can see how confused he is. Oh, but Aaron, he's the Bucs are good right now. Yeah, well, really? So what about when he was with the Jets? And have they won anything yet? I'm just curious. So no, he's a good D coordinator at times. He can be great, and then sometimes he can be stupid, like against the Rams in that playoff game. But he just stood there, like, look on his face, like, what's going on? So, what's up, Israel? Irie says, Vrabel is the only coach in the AFC that can stop Mahomes in the playoffs, if you ask me. If you look back to a couple of years ago, those Titans teams gave KC quite a bit of trouble. You know what's funny, Irie, is that, and you can look in the archives, the VonAllen Sports archives, and I did a live show for that Titans Chiefs AFC Championship. What was that, like 2021, I want to say, or 20... No, that might have been 2019. Doesn't matter. It was one of those years. Maybe it was 2020, actually. Okay. Everything's just running into it. Every year now is just like crazy. But so I did a show where I was so confident, Irie, and the Titans and Mike Vrabel, that I'd pick them to win that game. And unlike Chiefs fans, when I lost that, and when the Chiefs won that game, the next show I did, I actually advertised it and said, okay, Chiefs fans, I was wrong. I'm going to do a show where you can come on the show and you can talk shit. You can brag, you can say whatever you want, and I'll put up with it because I was wrong. Because I wasn't just picking the Titans. I was making a statement. Like I put it everywhere. It was like I was invested into it. I really thought that they were going to win that game. Firing Vrabel will go down as one of the dumbest decisions in NFL history. Not only that, they won't trade with him. We were trying to pull some players from the Titans at the trade deadline. They wouldn't do business with them, even if it meant even if it meant to improve their team. It wasn't that they didn't like the trade or was against the trade. That's fine. I don't like the trade. No, they would not do business with him. It's crazy. Yeah, we don't want to talk about that, F of Courage. We don't want to talk about Vrabel giving Brady his playoff loss. We don't want to talk about that. That didn't happen. Yeah, Gord King, Papa Pumpkin. Tennessee owner is a woman. Yeah, that's Bud Adams' daughter. And he says the pettiness tracks. Yeah. The same thing's going to happen with the Colts owner, too. Right now, everybody's all excited about it and how she's standing on the sidelines acting like she's doing something. She's not doing shit. Okay? And that's going to run its course really fast. So, I knew what you meant, dude. Elf Courage. You don't have to correct yourself. Everybody knew what you meant as a Patriot. Yeah. I actually saw in person Tom's last victory at home as a Patriot, and that was Week 16 against the Bills. I think someone's pissed off at me. Someone just slammed their window next door. Maybe I'm too loud for them. But it doesn't matter because I don't give a fuck, because I have to listen to them. One group of people having sex every Sunday morning. I don't know why. Sunday mornings. Guy next to that thinks he's going to try out for American Idol. He's singing all day long. Okay. The other guy has a broken air conditioner. So every time he turns it on, it's like, okay. So I don't want to hear about it. Oh, and there's another guy that while he's cleaning the balcony and cleaning up and stuff, he turns on this Mexican music. All day long in my head. Shut up. Yeah. So I don't care what you think. Besides, it's only 8:23. Stop acting like a bitch. How you guys doing? We got 80 people live, only 15 likes. We got one heart. Who was the heart? Who gave me the heart? I want to know who loves me, who's in love with this channel, because I appreciate it. Thank you. I honestly didn't know you could do a heart, but that's interesting. No, there's another one. There's some more. Who's doing that? Wait a minute. Does that mean Milena might be up? Let's see. What time is it in Bulgaria? Oh, it's 6:30 a.m. in Sofia, Bulgaria. That's not going to work. It's definitely not Milena. It's Alpha Courage. Okay. Oh, thank you, Alpha Courage. Appreciate it, buddy. It was very nice of you. So, check this out. Because, like I said, I've been under the weather for the last several days, so wasn't doing much. I had time to watch the Dynasty, the Patriots documentary that they made on Apple TV. You're probably wondering, why did it take me so long to finally watch it? Well, because it's 10 episodes. Okay, that's 10 hours. That's a lot of time to dedicate. And I knew back before I started watching it, all this time since it's been out, I knew if I watched one episode, I'd watch the next, and I'd get addicted, and I couldn't just spread them out, like I should. So I kept avoiding it. She's been in Bulgaria since my birthday, right after my birthday. So September 28th, something like that. But I started watching it, and I got to tell you, that documentary was such a missed opportunity. So how do you have that many Patriots to come on? I mean, they brought out Patriots that I thought were dead. Okay, guys that I swear to God, they had Brandon Lloyd on there. I mean, they were bringing guys out from the dead, like you forgot about them. And you had all these dudes, and that's the product you put out. Every single episode was about drama. Every episode was about bullshit, stuff that didn't matter, stuff that was irrelevant. And the people who made the documentary, which worked for Robert Kraft, which is funny, each episode actually reminded me of how a Patriots hater would make a documentary. So how you would view how Tom took over for Drew Bledsoe, or how you would view Spygate, or how you would view Deflategate, or the Aaron Hernandez situation, or the end of the Patriots dynasty, the breakup or whatever. It was handled from a hater's point of view, to be quite honest with you. How do you dedicate an entire episode to Spygate? One of the most overblown, overrated, stupid ass situations that's ever been conceived by any sports league ever. And if you watch that episode, you would think that they were like guilty of some serious crime or something. All in order to get Belichick. Now, I'm no friend to Belichick right now. Okay, I think he's being ridiculous, but that doesn't mean I'm completely lost all ability to see how things really are, and it just one thing doesn't have anything to do with the other. You know, my problems with him at the end of Brady's career, basically, 2014 and after, and my issues with him now, how he's acting, have nothing to do with Spygate and how I feel about Spygate. So that's not changed. My opinions never changed about that. My views never changed, and the facts have never changed. But they did it, and they made it look like how you would do it if you were a Jets fan making that documentary. It was unbelievable. No argument, no rebuttal to the idiocy. Even when they showed the Belichick, remember the famous interview with Belichick on maybe it was 60 Minutes or something? Belichick explained a lot of it. He explained how absurd a lot of it was. They cut that out. All they did was keep the part where Belichick said, "Well, yeah, and I was wrong, and I'm guilty, or I'm guilty of that." But guilty of what exactly? You see, they don't explain that, because in that interview he did explain the situation, and then you would understand more about how stupid this was and how overblown it was. But they let that slide. They left it in a way. They were so determined to destroy Belichick that they made our entire team look like idiots. And you got to remember, just because if you want to lay it at the feet of Bill, that's fine, okay? It was his program, right? Okay. But when you do that and you don't have a rebuttal of any kind at all, that attaches to everybody. That's the players, okay? That's the other coaches. That's the owner. What are you doing? You're sitting there making yourself look stupid. You know, it's unbelievable. It was so dumb. So dumb. It was just, it's like shooting yourself in the head. You know, as long as the bullet kills the other guy too. It's so dumb. I couldn't believe it. It was just, there was no glory in it. None of the great things that happened. It would show it here and there, but it wouldn't show the truth. It wouldn't show the details. And you could say, well, we've seen that in other documentaries. But the problem is that Kraft had access to video and sideline stuff and all that nobody else has. And nobody, you know, so he had an opportunity to really show us some insights into those old games and never even tried it. The only time he would bring out some of that stuff is to help with the narrative of Belichick sucks. I've never seen such self-destruction. It wasn't needed. It wasn't necessary to go after Belichick in this. It wasn't necessary. The dude is already trying to destroy his legacy on his own. You didn't need to do that, you know. But I know Kraft is pissed off. He's pissed off, and he's admitted it. That Belichick told him that Tom couldn't play anymore, and that we needed to get rid. We need to move on with Tom. And Kraft's thinking was, if Tom doesn't have much time left, but Belichick can continue to coach another decade, and that was his thinking. So he went along with it. Okay, that was your decision. That's fine. A lot of people, on the outside would understand it. We don't understand it because we knew Tom wasn't done. But I can see how a lot of people think that, because history says that he was done. Like, if you look at any other instance in history, it says he was. But we knew. We knew. But Kraft, you made that decision, dude. You allowed it. So stick by it. Stick by it. Don't sit there and make a 10-hour documentary to try to destroy the other guy because you made the decision to let Tom go. Because Tom goes nowhere without you. You have to approve it. Just accept that you made the decision. You tried to make what you thought the logical choice was, and that's it. And it backfired. And Tom went and won a Super Bowl, and the Patriots went into oblivion. You chose poorly. Like in the Indiana Jones movie. You chose poorly. Yeah. No, I've never seen 80 for Brady, and I saw it had that Jane Fonda bitch in there. I can't even look at that bitch. She's like Robert De Niro for me. I can't look at them. They're scum. And the problem is that I don't give a flying shit about four stupid old ladies, going around watching Patriots games. I have zero interest in that. Of all the movies you could have made, to celebrate all the crazy stuff that the Patriots have done, and that's what you choose. That was ridiculous. No, I'm not going to watch it. I have no interest in watching it, and don't care. But then this documentary, they went on, and the Aaron Hernandez thing, right? If you watched that and you didn't know, let's say you're not a Pats fan, you didn't follow everything that was going on back then, and you just watched that episode, what would you think? No, answer me. Answer me in the chat. What would you think? Now, put yourself in, you don't know nothing, you don't know anything about it the way you do as a Patriots fan, but you're an outsider and you're wanting to know more about it. And you watch that episode with Aaron Hernandez. What would you think? What would you walk away from that episode thinking about Belichick? What would you see? Mm-mm. You stay out of there. Nobody? No responses? Okay. Well, I'll answer for you. You would think that Belichick was some kind of accessory to Aaron Hernandez, everything that Aaron Hernandez has ever done. Like, what you would get the vibe, right? You would get the vibe that Belichick somehow knew that Aaron Hernandez was a freaking murderer, okay, or a wannabe murderer, and that he's the one that dropped the ball and he's the one that's responsible because they even put in this little thing like, oh, they wanted to trade Aaron or something about trading Aaron or cutting him or whatever, and Belichick didn't want to do that, and it's the implications are there. Okay, I thought that was so freaking disgusting, dude. That was bad. That was awful. And if I was any player for the Patriots from that time, and after that documentary came out, I would have called everybody associated with that documentary that made it and said, "What the are you doing? What do you think you're doing?" To imply that anybody in the organization is to blame or is at fault for what Aaron Hernandez did and for what he is ridiculous. There is no way to know that someone would do something like that. Okay? It's not like he was walking around talking about he was going to shoot his homies or something. He was just odd. But being odd is not enough to know that someone's going to murder somebody. It's just not. There are a lot of weird people in the NFL. A lot of weirdos. Even way weirder than Aaron was acting. How do you not, you think that he's just the same as any other troubled NFL player? How are you going to know the difference? Nobody could have anticipated what happened. It's retarded. So. Austin Thomas, what's up, man? How you doing? Oh, he was at the game, guys. Very cool. Austin Thomas says, I was front row on the north side end zone. Biggest takeaway from being in person is just how involved Vrabel is. Man, I know. We were talking about that, Austin, before you got on here. How just confident we are. How confident we are in Vrabel. And I feel comfortable. I feel ready. I feel ready to go to the playoffs and playoffs. I feel ready to go to the playoffs and very comfortable. Not like, you ever had those times where you're going in but you're worried about certain something? I don't have any really bad concerns, especially not with the coaching. I know that they're going to be coached and ready. So yeah, Irie says that would be like blaming the Chiefs for Javon Belcher. It's just stupid. How would you know? We're talking about extreme stuff. We're talking about murdering someone, The only way you would know is if they were specifically saying things like that. Other than that, you would just see it as just some guy being a dumbass, talking goofy and being weird, which he was doing that. He was being weird. I mean, if anything, you probably saw that he was like bisexual, by the way he acted, by the things he said and stuff. But I know that Brady would yell at him in practice. But again, that doesn't tell you that someone's a murderer, does it? So that was pretty disgusting, the way they did that. I thought that was just low. That was really low, man. And just it's too much dedicated to it. You didn't need a whole episode for Aaron Hernandez. Okay. It's a sucky situation, right? So he's one of the greatest players at his position that I've ever seen. Okay. He would have been a Hall of Famer. He was a different player than Gronk, but he was as productive as Gronk. And the things they could have done together, all of that whole group. So imagine in 2014, if Aaron was on the team. Imagine 2015. What would have happened in 2015? Would we have won that game in Denver if Aaron was on the team? What about 2017? Do we win that Super Bowl despite the defensive letdown? Do we just keep scoring so much that it doesn't matter? We'll never know, of course. But I'm saying that look what could have been. Does Aaron follow Gronk, okay, and Tom to Tampa Bay? You see, like, because Aaron's from Florida. So who knows? Who knows what could have been there? I think, I know for a fact he would have been a Hall of Fame player, but the sky's the limit there, right? They didn't talk about that, like what could have been or what kind of player he was, or they were very brief on most of it. No, it was about getting Belichick. They didn't even talk about the 2011 season. They didn't talk about the 2010 MVP year for Tom, where he's unanimous MVP. They didn't even go through that. They just wanted to get through to the drama. Boy, when they named it Dynasty, they literally meant Dynasty, the soap opera, right? And then they went and they did a whole episode of Deflategate. Imagine doing a whole episode on something so freaking stupid. Something that wasn't real, something that is dumb, it doesn't matter, had nothing to do with anything. And you devote a whole episode to that. That's great. That's awesome. Nice job. And then they wanted to get to the real shit, the stuff they really wanted to show, which was the breakup, the ending there. So yeah, it's bad. If you haven't watched it, don't bother it. It's just going to piss you off. Like I said, there's no glory. There's no glory in it. The dynasty, the things that was achieved over that 20-year span. It's there and then it's not there. They don't. It's weak. It's real weak. Yeah, John Thomas Chavez says, if you're not getting yelled at Brady in practice, something's probably wrong. Yeah, this was different. This wasn't because you lined up wrong or something. He was yelling at Aaron like on a personal level, like when Aaron wasn't even involved in the practice. And, yelling at him for like personal stuff that he was doing around the area and stuff. It's a different type of thing, which was kind of like, what the hell's going on here? What's up with this guy? That's true, Phil. You could watch it for that. But you can skip the Spygate episode. You can skip the Deflategate episode. You can skip the Aaron Hernandez episode. It's all about that crap. There's nothing interesting. But the other episodes are pretty, they're pretty cool for the footage. But even in that's not told very well. It's just weird how it's done. It's dark. It's depressing. Even with the Drew Bledsoe thing, the way they made it seem. Again, they even made Belichick look like a piece of crap. At the same time, Belichick making the decision to keep Brady, which is the greatest decision ever. But even that, they laid at Belichick's feet to make him look bad, to make it look like he mistreated Drew and he treated Drew like garbage. But without that decision, we don't have anything. But even that, they turned it. That's the first episode, and they tried to do that. So it just did not seem like it was made by pro-Patriots people when it was. That's what's shocking, Of course, Belichick didn't do himself any favors, and he never does. He never does himself any favors. And in the interview, he wouldn't answer any questions. He was always difficult and short and had an attitude. So when you're like that and you don't talk, you don't give anything, and then people paint a narrative around you, that's what happens. It looks legit, it looks real, and people think that, but that's how it is. My dad and Milena both, so a lot of you guys know her as Nefertiti on here. They were never Belichick people. They were diehard Brady first. This is before we knew anything. I'm talking way back. I'm talking like 2014, 2013, even before that stuff started, right? They were just not Belichick people. And I would always be, and I would defend and stuff. And then when 2017 came and that Super Bowl happened with the benching of Malcolm Butler and we couldn't stop anybody, my dad never forgave him for that. And Milena had always maintained that she wasn't a big Belichick person, but she really hated him after that. And I was mad, but I still kept the reverence, I still kept what he has done for us and all that. And then I felt like I was rewarded in 2018 against the Rams with that defensive, game, a great defensive game. And that was a hard Super Bowl to win. But it was so hard to get past a lot of the stuff that Bill would do or that Bill would say, like when he made that smartest comment about Tom's hand, when he said it's not, and that was after the Jaguars victory over the Jaguars in the AFC Championship game before we played the Eagles. And they asked him about Tom's hand, which was completely ripped open inside. A throwing hand, by the way, it was like right through here. The worst place a quarterback needs a hole in his hand was right here. And he's smart. I said, well, we're not talking about, heart surgery or brain surgery or something like that, right? What a dick. Dude, that was a serious injury. And what Tom did in that game was extraordinary under those conditions. Not being able to practice correctly, not being able to throw correctly up until that point. It was, it was remarkable. So, and for him to say that was so condescending, and that told you, that told us that something was wrong. There's something, and we had the whole Garoppolo drama and all that crap. He sent Garoppolo to the 49ers for nothing, essentially. I mean, we got like a second rounder, but when knowing what you could have got for him, that was nothing compared. He could have sent him to Cleveland for a first round pick, would have been a high first round pick. And people say, "Oh, well, he did him a solid." I'm sorry. Since when do we do players' favors? If we were doing players' favors, I can give you a whole long list of players who deserve special favors from the past. And Bill always said, what did Bill always say? The team. I'm going to do what's best for the team. T-E-A-M, team. It's what Mr. Kraft's paying me to do. Remember that quote? It's what he always says. He says it in their day one meetings every year. I do what's best for the team. No individual is bigger than the team, except for Jimmy Garoppolo. I think Belichick had a gay crush on Jimmy Garoppolo. The way he treated him was creepy. It was weird. He was different with Jimmy than anybody I've ever seen, any player I've ever seen. It was very, very strange. I'm not serious, by the way. I'm just saying about that. I'm just saying that it was weird how he treated him. But now we're doing special favors. So it's not in the best interest of the team to get a first round pick from the Browns. This is their first round pick from some Super Bowl contender. This is the first round pick from the Browns, which is valuable. You know it's going to be valuable. And you don't take it, and then a few months later, you send them to the 49ers? Oh, to the son of your friend? Your buddy Mike Shanahan's kid? That's where you send them. Again, yeah, that's good for Jimmy. That's a solid for him. But since when did we do those things? Where was those solids before? Why did even Tom Brady have to go through crap just to get a decent contract? So many players come and go. You know? So many players left because of Belichick. But for some reason, Jimmy got the special treatment. He was in love with this guy. And I think it came down to this. He felt that Jimmy was another Brady. And if he could get rid of Tom, then he could show everybody that it was about him. That was the bottom line. That's what it was all about. And then when he was told that they're not trading Tom, Jimmy's got to go, he acted like a baby. And then he said, okay, I'll send Jimmy wherever I want to go, where I want him to go. What he wanted is he wanted Jimmy to go to the 49ers, and he wanted Jimmy to become a Hall of Famer. That's what he wanted. And he wanted Tom to suck. He wanted Tom to suck, and he wanted Jimmy to go be a Hall of Famer so he could say, look, I was right. Now are you going to listen to me? Now are you going to let me do what I want to do? Because that Eagles Super Bowl, if that wasn't sabotage, I don't know what you'd call it. I really don't. It's not just my opinion. Go and watch interviews. Go and watch opinions from the players in that game. Watch the opinions from some of the coaches. Even Matt Patricia. I think it was Matt. Okay, don't quote me on that. But one of the coaches on the defensive side of the ball was like, Bill wasn't giving us anything. He wasn't telling us. He wasn't really helping. He wasn't coaching. We were kind of on our own out there. What is that? So you take his problem with Tom, his problem with the Jimmy thing that year. You take what the coaches are saying that they coached the team themselves. So the coaching staff was coaching the defense the entire time. You don't put in Malcolm Butler, even though Logan Ryan's getting his ass kicked all over the place. I'm not saying Malcolm Butler was Deion Sanders, okay, or Ed Reed. You could throw him in there and he's going to sit there and get a bunch of picks and stop everything. I'm not saying that. I'm saying you didn't even try. Because when you're getting blown up, your secondary is getting destroyed by Nick Foles, okay? No disrespect to Nick, but he's not exactly that's not, John Elway coming in there, right? You got to throw a monkey wrench in that thing. And you've got a guy, Malcolm Butler, who has started for you all year. And again, remember, we're doing special favors for players now, right? So don't you think you owe Malcolm for what he did in Super Bowl 49? Don't you think you owe him to at least let him play one play in the Super Bowl? No, you don't even you put him in there on like a special teams or something like that. But you never put him out there to actually defend. Even after everything that you saw, you got a fresh guy, a guy who hasn't played, completely fresh after the second half. You could have brought him out there for the second half, and he would have been going against wide receivers that had already played an entire half of a game. And you don't throw him in there just to see what happens. Is it Eric Rowe? I'm sorry. I said Logan Ryan. Yeah, sorry. I meant Eric Rowe. Yes, I definitely meant Eric Rowe. Even in my head, it was Eric Rowe, but I said Logan Ryan. That happens sometimes. But you don't throw Malcolm Butler in there just to see what would happen. How can you tell me that is anything but sabotage? The worst coach on earth would have still thrown in somebody like Malcolm. There's absolutely nothing. There is nothing you can say or do that would excuse that. There's no way out of it. It's impossible. It's impossible. Good night, Elf. Thanks for being on, man. I appreciate it. What's up, Tyree? So my dad never got over that. And never forgave Bill for that. Never. No matter what happened. Oh, we have a super chat on Rumble. Hey, where'd my screenshot go? Not cool, man. We have a $5 super chat from the real Tyree Vaughn. It says at the real Tyree Vaughn. So there's his handle. Thank you, Tyree. I really appreciate it, buddy. It's awesome. Nice to get super chats. I appreciate it, guys. It's been a while since we've done that because of the stupid YouTube. But we'll get it back, though. We'll get it back. I'm gonna have to redo the Montana versus Brady documentary. That's the last thing that's keeping me from getting monetization because it uses a lot of NFL clips in there that the NFL has claimed on, and I can't edit it. I can't edit them out because when a video on YouTube has more than like I think 100,000 or 200,000 or something like that views, you can't edit them anymore. So I'm unable to edit it. So what I have to do is I'm going to have to take it down. But what I want to do is I want to archive it before I do that. Like every comment that's ever been, and all that, and just keep a record of it. So that's going to be a while because there's a lot of comments. And what I'll do is I'll just edit it and then re-release it. But when I re-release it, I can add an update after that because that was before he had 7 rings. So, but yeah, I mean, what do you guys think? How do y'all feel about that Super Bowl against the Eagles? Do you consider it sabotage? Do you agree with what I'm saying? Because I cannot figure out what else is it? What else could it be? Again, you cannot say that, oh, well, Malcolm wasn't playing well that season. You can't say that. He could have been a nothing. You still try it. You try something, right? Because we know Eric Rowe is getting destroyed. You try something, anything. And you've got the hero of Super Bowl 49 on the sidelines. The guy who's been playing all year, who knows every call, everything. It's not some guy, some rookie. It's not some training camp dude that you just put up, into the lineup. This is Malcolm Butler. And you don't put him in for personal reasons. I thought it was about the team, Bill. I thought it was team first. Did that give us the best chance to win? I don't think anybody on this planet thinks that gave us the best chance to win. And again, I can get behind, okay? And I said it before. I can get behind his choice to go with someone else in the beginning, thinking that this was the right thing to do. I can get behind that, okay? As a coach, that's his call. I would have said, and I even said that when I remember at halftime, my brother called me, and he says, "How come Malcolm's not playing?" And I said, and so we came up with the idea that maybe that Bill was saving him for the second half and seeing how the matchups would go, because he did something weird like that in Super Bowl 49. Remember when he changed things around in the second half? I think Kyle Arrington. I think he was getting beat quite a bit. At least I think it was Kyle. Um, and then they switched some things around with Browner and stuff like that. So I'd seen this before. I'd seen this kind of switching around. But after you saw that he couldn't handle it, and you still don't do it, sorry, there's no explanation for that. Israel says, Eric Rowe actually posted a huge rant after that Super Bowl calling out Belichick, and Tom Brady liked that post. Yeah, no joke. Yeah, it's true. Nobody understood it. But remember, it was about what's best for the team. TEAM, team. As Belichick says. Sure, Bill. Sure. John Thomas Chavez says, and Rose still somehow remained with the team. That's genuinely a bit surprising considering Brian Hoyer got cut from New England after questioning Bill's decision to make Judge and Patricia the offensive coordinator. Interesting. What's up, Nightwalker? How you doing? How you been, man? I don't hear from you much in the chat, the private chat. DePazio, what's up? He agrees with me. Irie says, I don't think it was sabotage, but more just Bill's ego ruining everything. It was clear that Bill had a personal vendetta against Malcolm, and that is why he didn't even play like any snaps. Yeah, but what about the lack of coaching, the lack of passionate coaching in that Super Bowl, and how the other coaches felt alone in that game, and how it felt like Bill wasn't really engaged? I don't know. Something's up with that, right? Phil Williamson says, the NFL doesn't even allow reporters or fans to post all 22 film on Twitter to break it down. So they want you to pay for it, but you can't use it in any useful manner. Exactly. So what's the point in paying for the all 22? The whole point of the all 22 is so you can analyze it and show people and things like that. If it's just for us personally watching it, well, what's the point of that? Who cares? So yeah, the NFL, man, it's stupid shit. Well, see, Bill, the defensive performance against the Rams next year, and I even said it. I said I felt better because I appreciated that. But that still doesn't forgive the fact that he was willing to sabotage the team for a year because he didn't get his way. Remember, this is all connected. It's the Garoppolo thing. It's how he talked about Brady after the championship game. It's how he behaved in the Super Bowl. So that whole year, he said he's team first, but he's not. He's just not. Okay, guys. So one more thing before I go, I want to tell you guys. So there's a new kind of arguing going on X. I don't know if you guys are on X, but there's a thing where they're trying to discredit Brady going to Tampa Bay, saying how he went to a super team. So if you remember, we had some of that. We had some of the rumblings of that back then. But they're bringing that back again. And of course, you know who's doing it. It's the Chiefs fans, the Mahomes fans. It's so hilarious. Back then, okay? So Everything is lived in the moment, but then it's judged differently in hindsight in order how you want it. They call it revisionist history, or it's honestly, I think some of these people who are trying to say this wasn't even watching football at the time. They're probably recent Chiefs fans. Exactly, Phil. That's where I was going with it. When Tom Brady joins your team, you become a super team. Okay? When you get the greatest player ever on your team, you're already a super team. But let's look at the facts. The Tampa Bay organization, despite having a Super Bowl on their resume, was the worst wins-loss team in history of all four major sports at the time that Tom arrived. So this was a history of, not a lot of greatness. They had that one run in 2002. But we had watched Jameis Winston throw, 30 something interceptions, 30 something touchdowns, whatever the number was. So we could see that the offense liked to throw the ball. We could see that the defense was being strained by the turnovers. So there was something there. Something not bad, Just a second. Sorry, guys. But you can see it was strained, but no one was looking at the Bucs and going, "Oh, this is a contender. They just need to fix." That didn't exist, dude. Nobody cared about the Bucs. Nobody was looking at them. It's just all they were looking at was Jameis Winston and laughing at him, how he's a turnover machine, all this, blah, blah, blah. No one was sitting there analyzing, oh, they need this, and they're going to be Super Bowl winner. Dude, okay? If you looked at the odds, the Super Bowl odds, even when after Tom signed, they were nowhere near it. I think it was the Saints. Saints was one of the teams that people were putting their money in. Tom didn't get a lot of offers. They make it sound like Tom had this master plan to go and create this super team. He brought those people with him. He brought Antonio Brown. He brought Gronk, a Gronk that was at the end of his career and that didn't have much left. And he wasn't even that good of a player during the regular season. He was the reason Leonard Fournette was there. He's the reason they drafted Tristan Wirfs. It turned out to be a great offensive lineman. Tom is the reason why these things happened. So if he had gone to Tennessee, he would have taken Fournette and Brown and Gronk with him. Okay? And then they would have said the same thing there. If he had gone to San Francisco, they would have said the same thing. But San Francisco didn't want him. There wasn't a whole lot of options. So he chose Tampa Bay, where the coach said that Tom could kind of do what he always wanted to do. Every bad team has some decent players on them. Like Phil's saying, they had Mike Evans. Chris Godwin, it's a bit overstated about Chris Godwin. All I ever heard about was Chris Godwin after they started winning. But before that, okay, he had 1,000 yards, but that was They were throwing the ball all day long. But it meant nothing. It equaled to nothing. It was just a bunch of empty calorie stats. Who cares, right? Nobody was sitting there thinking. Mike Evans was the only bona fide star that was there. And again, every team has that. The Cardinals had Larry Fitzgerald. The worst teams in the league have some of the best players. The Detroit Lions. All those bad Detroit Lions teams, they had Megatron, dude. The best wide receiver ever played, in my opinion, as far as, like, not the greatest, but I mean, like, he's the one that I would pick if I was starting a team. So every team has some star players on them. It wasn't this crazy super team that he was talking about, that they're talking about. They're trying to change everything, but they don't go back to what it was back then, to what it looked like before. And when Tom went to Tampa Bay, everybody was laughing. And after they lost that first game against the Saints, after they got crushed, nothing but jokes. Nothing but bullshit. You can go back. You can look at the past. You can look at the history on X. Look at all the comments from everything about Brady, about the Bucs, compared to Belichick, how Belichick was this and that, and how Brady's an idiot. He's washed. He's finished. This is after week 1. And then all of a sudden the playoffs come and they win a game. Then they win. Then they beat the Saints. And then everything changes. And then they beat the Packers. And that 2 weeks between the Packers and the Chiefs Super Bowl, that's when all of that shit started. That's when it all switched like that. Now it's a super team. Well, of course Tom Brady's going to win. It's a super team. But you could look at the same person from a few months before who was saying that Tom's washed up, the Bucs suck, it was a stupid thing to go there, all that. You got to love it. You got to love it how people do. But anyway, that's back. That's back now. So maybe I'll show you some of these comments sometime. But I'm going to let you guys go because it's a work night. So thank you for being on with me. I appreciate it. Sorry I was getting on late, but like I said, it was either that or no show at all, and I wanted to do something. So, okay, guys, thanks for being here. I really appreciate you, and I'll see you guys for in a few days for the next week's games. Okay. Thanks a lot.
VonAllen Sports.
This is Patriots linebacker, Super Bowl 49 champ, Darius Fleming, and you're watching VonAllen Sports. Real and honest NFL analysis. Subscribe now. Join the empire. VonAllen Sports, let's go!
VonAllen Sports. VonAllen Sports.
This is the man with the most badass name in sports. The Pharaoh, the Egyptian god himself, Amon-Ra St. Brown. And on behalf of my man VonAllen, we want to thank you for your support. Let's fucking go.
VonAllen Sports.
One.